if any of you had a chance to read that, that's pretty good. And so it looks like Ryan is back here. I'm going to add him to the stream.
John, what are you doing here? I was supposed to have a live chat with Parent Juan. We were going to discuss our vacation plans to the Caribbean, but
Where did
this is terrible.
All right, well,
Terrible.
it's ladies and gentlemen, we have Parent Ryan
What are
SJ
we on a
with
live?
us.
Is this a live
He was
stream?
he was kind of an uninvited guest, I guess, but yeah. So
John,
Parent Ryan, I haven't
John, is
seen you
this
for
your
a
pro?
while.
John, is this your program? Are your hideous, smelly viewers watching this program live?
Yeah, they certainly are. And if
Oh.
you're if the
Ugh.
viewers if they don't all leave, maybe I can have some of them ask some questions. I guess since
Well,
you're here, you say you're on an
well,
airplane?
I have to get ready for a flight to the and again, you know how us Jesuits in our province, we take vacations quite frequently, but
Oh yes, your Jesuit
maybe
retreat.
since yes, of course. Now listen, because I am on this program, the ratings are going to go through the roof. This is your one opportunity. And I figured while we could conduct sort of as the great Pope Francis, the greatest of all time, as he conducts these airplane interviews. Maybe we could make this sort of like an airplane interview with Parent Ryan, because as you know, the St. Gallen Mafia, they've told me don't tell anybody else, but they have plans for me in the next conclave. I heard I already have about 20 votes.
Oh
So
wow.
that's a good start. So anyway, I just have to get used to plane interviews. So I'll let you conduct this plane interview with me, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I do want to make a point here because you said the ratings are going to go through the roof. Well, if you look at the number of Twitter followers, John the Son of Thunder has maybe a little under 200, and Parent Ryan SJ has over 500, close to 600 Twitter followers. So modernism seems like it does pay off in terms of popularity. But
It does. If you only had half of the money that we had, your broadcasting studio, it would look like what they have over at Reason and Theology.
oh yeah, well, I guess so. Now with these airplane interviews,
Wait, before
um,
we, I know, yeah, go ahead. I'll interrupt you later because I'd like
okay,
to do
well,
that.
if the viewers have any questions for Parent Ryan, anything about the modernist gospel or that, but I want to get into one of these Pope Francis questions
Well,
here.
hold on. The stewardess is coming by, and she's offering me a drink. And of course, you know my favorite is Tab. So just give me a second while I open this up. And do you hear the sounds of the airplane in the background? I don't know if it's coming through.
Not really,
Well,
but
anyway,
I'm sure that jet fuel is very good for the environment.
of
Um,
course, you peons don't get to fly on jets, but us Jesuits do.
yeah, only the popular, only the world famous fly on private jets.
Yes,
The
of
ones that are
course.
promoting the gospel
Eco
of eco
theology, my
theology.
favorite.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right,
here's a
I'm ready for these smelly questions from these viewers of yours. They
all
probably
right. Well,
they
here's a
probably
papal
just came
interview
back from
question.
some stupid Trump rally or some Latin mass or something.
Well, here's here's a papal question. RR, is Parent Ryan wearing the official Jesuit clerical garb?
Well, you have to understand, RR. By the way, I appreciate the question. Uh, you have to understand that in my Jesuit province, the we have quite a loose dress code, and we don't actually have official clerical garb. So each person, and notice I said person, each individual, each parent may choose their own dress, and so literally sometimes a dress. So I, being the flamboyant uh, fabulous one known as Parent Ryan have chosen such a flamboyant and eccentric mode of dress. And so, so to speak, this branch of the Jesuits to which I belong has, one might say, such an official garb.
Okay. Now, the next question. Are you friends with Elton John?
Oh, Elton, he and I go way back to when he was a young musician in the UK, and I met him there, and I encouraged his musical journey, and he encouraged my vocational journey with the Jesuits, but we've always remained in contact, and as a matter of fact, as far as the movie that the Vatican sponsored called Rocket Man, I was greatly instrumental in arranging the funding with that with my friend Cardinal Becciu and the Secretary of State Cardinal Parolin. We worked closely together for that fantastic blockbuster film, Rocket Man. I'm only disappointed that it did not win more Emmys than it, or Oscars, or whatever that, yeah, Oscars, that it did not win more. It should have won Emmys. It should have won everything, every award possible.
Yeah,
People's
even the
Choice,
Grammy.
the Grammys, the
Well, because
Slammys, the Whammies. It
yeah.
should have won them all, okay? But it was crooked. I don't know why, but anyway, it was a great movie.
Well, that's interesting because most of those people are very liberal, and so they don't rig elections. Anyway, moving on. I want to get some clarification about Pope Francis' comments on how we should approach confession.
Well, as far as I know, in my Jesuit province, I don't know what the great Holy One has to say about his Jesuit province, but we've sort of, the only confession that we have in my Jesuit province is the confession to plants, where we confess our eco sins. We also sometimes confess to, for those of us who may be uh, melanin challenged, and that means light skinned for those low IQ viewers who are out there, shall we say, those of us with light skin, we have to apologize for our white privilege sometimes. So I guess that's sort of a confession. And I think the way that you should approach this is always be willing to apologize for something that will increase your stature in the media and in the modern world, because that's truly the goal of life, is to become famous and have an excellent influence. This is the path forged by the great one, Pope Francis, and by the Jesuits since the 1960s. So I think that answers your question.
All right. Is that feather thing real?
Well, of course it's faux. I would never take feathers off a living being or even a dead one. I would, in my province, I would probably receive 5 demerits or something if this was real feathers.
Yes. Okay, Michael, is Pope Francis the false prophet of the apocalypse?
What kind of talk is that? This is the new springtime, the apocalypse. First off, in my province, they say that that's all a bunch of baloney. Okay, you can't rely upon that. These books written a long time ago. It's figurative. Okay, you can't. Don't be so rigid and tied down. What did Pope Francis say? I can't even. The article escapes me. It was so profound what he said about going back. It tugged on my heart. I think I had a brain reset a couple times. I almost swooned when I heard the inspired words of Pope Francis when he said, "We can't go back. It's rigid." So there is no way. Pope Francis is a true prophet, like Joseph Smith is. It is a true prophecy of Pope Francis, and certainly not, in no way is he a false prophet.
Wait, is
Please.
Joseph Smith the Mormon?
Yes, and we have ecumenical dialogues with the Mormons. There's
But
much to John, you wouldn't know this, and neither would your viewers, because your IQ is in the single digits. I mean, probably they're drooling right now, but anyway, Yes, Joseph Smith's the head of the whatever they're called. It doesn't really matter, but the Mormons or Latter-day Saints or whatever. But yes, he is, and they're very nice people, and you should have dialogues and whatnot with him. They believe in multiple gods, just like we and the Jesuits do. So we do have that in common when we have our ecumenical meetings.
Well, I thought the Mormons somewhat lack diversity. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, that was in the past, and they're evolving. They're striving for the omega point that Pierre Teilhard de Chardin has talked about. And John, you should strive for that omega point too. This is why Pope Francis in the Abu Dhabi document talked about this fraternity and building these common temples. I hope someday that there's a Jesuit chapel. It would touch me so if I could open it, that there was a Jesuit chapel and co-adjacent with the High Mormon Temple in Salt Lake City. Let us ask whatever God you pray to that such a thing happens in the future.
Well, speaking of fraternity, do you think Bergoglio is a Freemason?
Is a Freemason? Well, I would say probably, because it's quite popular. In my province, you have to be at least 32nd degree to reach any level of authority. And so, I've been initiated into the secret rites. I started with the Blue Lodge and then have made my way up to the York Rite. But I think I can't tell you what degree I am, but I've been looking towards the Memphis Rite. As you know, there is a diversity of rites in Masonry. Not one could ever be forbidden, and we must respect them all. And so we look towards those ancient rites of Masonry with their esoteric rituals and strange languages that we don't understand. This is where we see the wisdom of all time, and you just have to be open to it and not be so rigid.
Okay, next question. Marianne, do you have pink masks for Mass?
Of course, I sometimes sleep with it on, shower with it on, of course, um, uh, and do other things with it on. And of course, as you know, and it's quite uncommon for us to, we celebrate quite frequently in our province, but I do have a Sunday obligation to say Mass. It's sort of a yoga Mass, and in that, I do wear the mask because I love the people who are there. We make sure that they are fully, shall we say, jabbed, and we make sure that they have all their inoculations before they attend this blessed Eucharist. We don't really use the word mass too much. That smells of pre-Vatican II theology and beliefs and rigidity. So we more or less call it a Eucharist. But yes, to answer your question, I do have a pink mask.
Well, and actually, I have a question about that. Whenever you we actually broadcasted your whenever you got the jab, the first jab, and it looked like it didn't go so well, but I'm assuming you got the second jab, at least. And so
what? I'm up to my fourth.
Okay, so are
some
you
people
doing all
only
right?
have. I'm never been better. I mean, the side effects of the first jab, they lasted for a week, but you saw I came back, and they were able to. Thank goodness for those indigenous natives that were, I ran off into the Amazon, and they were able to throw a net, and they captured me. And anyway, Parent Juan was able to get that doctor. He administered the antidote to whatever happened. I was transformed back into my fabulous Jesuit self, and I thanked those indigenous because, as you know, they have a devotion to Pachamama, and so together we offered a Thanksgiving a sacrifice to the Pachamama, and we and so what happened was. Then I was able to get the subsequent jabs and other facilities. And as I said, apart from the twitches and the I guess partial paralysis that it only lasted for a few weeks, the Bell's palsy and whatnot that was going on, but no other side effects besides. Well, the doctor did say something about a heartbeat or regular. I don't know. Why are you asking questions? None of this stuff should be on a show anyway. This is private matter. Next question.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of public because people. Anyway, Patty. I think Patty has kind of a sarcastic question. Did you shoot a pink duck, Parent Ryan?
Did I shoot a pink duck? No, I did not. Maybe he's asking about these feathers. Certainly not.
Yes. All right. Oh, whoa. Okay, let me see. Here we go. Why do you think the Vatican hasn't sent a hitman after Vigano, or at least silenced him?
I think it's because the great mercy of Pope Francis. No one has more mercy than him. I mean, somebody should write a diary about his mercy when if they were to hear the locutions in their heart from Pope Francis, then they would know how merciful he is. There should actually be if I'm named Pope, okay, the subsequent Pope after Francis, I would declare the Sunday after Easter no longer Divine Mercy Sunday, but it would be Pope Francis Mercy Sunday because he's shown such mercy for Vigano and not killing him. I mean, I know the death penalty was abolished, okay, so we can't actually get a hitman after Vigano or silence him because we believe Pope Francis and I, we believe in open dialogue and honesty. And but the problem with Vigano is he's just too rigid. That's all.
Oh, we got some good questions here. Do you
Okay.
believe hell is in the center of the
There is
earth?
no
Is the
hell.
earth flat?
There is no hell, and the earth, whatever the scientists say about the Earth, is they say it's zillions of years old. They
Believe
say
in
it's
science?
hurling through space. And again, as I said, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin and the Saint, we're heading towards the Omega point. Get ready, whatever they say, I believe. Man from monkeys, man into star babies and star children, like the Mormons say. All I can say is that it's going to be spectacular. And hang on, hold on to your chairs for the evolution. Some people might say we're going through turbulence right now as I'm shaking, but it's actually the evolutionary process happening right before your eyes, John and viewers. It's beautiful.
Here's a good one. Does Parent Ryan believe it's illicit to attend
Oh.
masses said by priestesses of the Society of St. Paul VI who are in imperfect communion with Rome? Well, I think I know the answer to that.
Well, does Rome mean the great Pope Francis? Let me see here. Listen to attend mass is said by priestesses, Society of St. Paul VI. Perfect union with. Well, okay. This is a very complicated question here, all right? You know that the sacraments, the rites, shall we call them, of the Society of St. Paul VI are valid, okay? The question comes down to the lyceity of these rites when they're performed either in union or in disunion with Pope Francis. Now, as you know, I was a grandparent in the Society of St. Paul VI, and I did so because of the poor way I was treated. And I thought that Pope Francis was badly misinformed about some of the things that we were doing. So I said it was time to secure the rights of the tradition of Paul VI and consecrate, make sure that grandparents were available so that those unreformed rites of St. Paul VI could be celebrated. So here is the answer to your question quickly. Yes, it is. It is okay, but they can't deny the pontificate of Pope Francis, okay? So you can attend those chapels as long as you're in communion with the rest of the mainstream Vatican II Church and you don't acknowledge, or you do acknowledge, the papacy of Pope Francis.
Well, and actually, along those lines, we have Joseph who asks, has Parent Ryan and those of his community discussed the possibility of a joint celebration of the Mass with the Roman Catholic Women Priests USA? So this is
Oh,
different than the Society of St. Paul VI, but there are, I think there are different women priest groups at least in the United States. He says, my only fear is their vestments might show you up. I don't know about that, Joseph.
well, they haven't seen our solemn high sets. They look like you probably saw Ocasio-Cortez in her beautiful dress at that gala where it said tax the rich. I have a chasuble that says that's quite similar and also says tax the rich. So you just wait to be surprised. But anyway, yes, we will have a joint. I was. It's not a hierarchical liturgy because that's bad, or a patriarchal liturgy, but we will have a solemn high matriarchal liturgy with that Women Priests Association. I have to check with the schedule because we have these events like every week, so I don't know who we're celebrating with. But can you put that back up? I wanted to make sure I got answered his question. Yeah, so Roman Catholic women priests. Yes, we will have a high, solemn, matriarchal liturgy with that particular group.
Okay, and Patty, did you see a photo of the thug on the train, hidden hand in full focus? I'm
I
not
think
sure.
he means the great one, Pope Francis, back when he was either Bishop or Cardinal Bergoglio in Argentina, and he had his hand inside of his outfit or whatever, giving some
Oh,
kind of signal. But I'm not going to comment on that. Patty
oh,
already knows all he needs to know about it.
okay. All right. Uh, no, here's a question about the balloon mass. Does Parent
Oh,
Ryan think it's rude to bring and release your own balloons at masses if the rigid masses near you don't have any?
excellent question. I think, in the spirit of fraternity, dialogue, accompaniment, understanding, what you should do is move beyond the idea of the ordained parenthood, and in your own home, in your own exercise center where you do your yoga, uh, the place where you go to buy your incense and whatnot, have your services with the balloons there, and you can introduce new people of all different persuasions and genders and outlooks on life. Don't be so rigid that you have to have them in your local Catholic church. So take those balloon masses to the people and invite them to your balloon masses.
Oh, I have a good question here. What sort of surprises does Parent Ryan hope to see in the upcoming synod on the synodality of synodal synods?
I'm sure. First off, never underestimate the god of surprises. And furthermore, I'm sure that in this synod on synods that they will discuss synodality and they will plan a subsequent synod to discuss another synod on synods. But first, let us at least go through the pre-synodal process for the synod on synodality before I'm able to answer such questions. But I think perhaps we could look at deaconesses coming up in this synod on synodality. We could look at, shall we say, some more alphabet soup, LMNOP, as you call it, could be coming out of this synod on synods, and maybe we'll just discuss sin as an sin, and maybe what I mean by that is getting rid of it and saying that it's too harsh and rigid and it's not merciful enough to belong into this new springtime Catholic Church of Pope Francis.
Well, I kind of hear a rumble in the background. Is that your plane?
Well, it might be. Well, I think they are asking. We are going to land, so I'll have to turn off this device.
All
Um,
right. Well,
anyway, although I did love, there were some excellent questions here. People very interested in the Society of St. Paul VI and in the God of Surprises, the Synod on Synodality. So maybe I harshly judged your audience. I think that it's well split, as you know. Probably it's because of me. They saw me on here and they've subscribed or they've lingered. Somehow they've managed to withstand the odor of you and your guests and the horrific things that they say. But I'm glad that they've stuck around for that. And I think I've had such a good, I shudder to say this. I think I would have to ask the Jesuit superiors if this is considered ecumenical dialogue, but I would not be opposed to coming back onto your show again for another airplane interview, Michael Voris cruise interview on the beach, whatever it might be. But remember, I have to get a share of this ad income that you get. So, and you know, we don't work cheaply in the Jesuits. So,
Well, you are right. We are we do have different religions. I will say that. But all right. Well, thank you, Parent Ryan,
so
and
long.
we'll see how long until Ryan comes back. I don't think